Alright, good evening everybody. Welcome back to the Grey Days Attorney Chronicles. We are about to head into Case 4, The Adventure of the Clouded Kokoro.
I begin to think, Wilson, said Sholmes, turning his head languidly in my direction, that there is more to this case than that which we have observed. Indeed, that there may be another part to this story that we are yet to discover. His eyes wandered, following the steam rising from his cup of herbal tea, leading him to the distant memory of that snowy evening. To the young lady collapsed on the pavement along Briar Road, and to the knife in her back. Lit in the soft glow of gas lamps, a most extraordinary scene had been set. And under the cover of a light fog, the curtain had risen silently on the insoluble mystery of our invisible killer.
Did you sleep last night, Mr. Naruhodo? No, not at all. It was an enormous hotel, wasn't it? The rooms were so luxurious, I felt like we were staying in a palace. And with all the gaslights twinkling, it was brighter than day, even in the middle of the night. What about the enormous beds? After my time on the SS Burya, I wasn't going to waste a single inch of that space. I spent the entire night rolling from one side of the mattress to the other. Oh yes, it really was the sort of night you can only dream of normally. Except, when I learned that we owed £3 for the rooms, that dream quickly turned into a nightmare. Oops. Sorry about that. The building was so impressive and the entrance so inviting, I just wandered in without thinking. In a lodging house in Japan, that sum of money would put a roof over your head for a whole year. I did try, but I'm afraid I couldn't help my tears when we were presented with the bill. I really am sorry. Well, never mind. We must find some more affordable lodgings straight away, though. If we're not careful, our entire stipend will be used up in 10 days or less. London is a scary place. Oh, good morning to you at this early hour. Ah, yeah, it's him. Oh, yes, well, well. Good morning to you, Lord Chief Justice. We have come to report on the outcome of the trial at the Old Bailey yesterday. Susato-san is amazing. She doesn't bat an eyelid, even in the presence of the imposing Lord Strongheart. Yes, I believe you had a very comprehensive initiation into British courtroom practices. Oh, yes. It was very eye-opening, thank you. And in accordance with your instructions, Lord Strongheart, Mr. Naruhodo performed his duty to the end. Yes, I've already been apprised of events. You conducted a remarkable defense. You may consider the test passed. Oh, no longer are you a student from the Empire of Japan. You may henceforth claim to be a fully fledged lawyer. My country is delighted to welcome young talent from such a remote eastern land. Thank you very much. So, I'm a lawyer now. Now, in view of your new appointment, I have a fresh case in mind for you. I'd like you to take it on at once. I trust that won't be a problem. Another case? Already? Nothing trains a lawyer better than practical experience. I'm sure. I don't sense dissatisfaction, do I? It's just that yesterday's trial ended unusually. I haven't quite come to terms with it. What's to come to terms with? The man was cleared. What more were you hoping for? Well, Lord Van Zeeks, it's been a pleasure, so it has. And as for you, my dear fella, I couldn't have asked for a better defense. I am going to die in the next scene. Ha 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 ha. Ah, ha 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 ha. I will perish in the next scene. Don't mind me. I just can't help wondering if Mr. McGilder really was innocent. Mr. Naruhodo, it's just that I never managed to ascertain the truth. And then the trial ended. Well, you needn't let it trouble you for a second longer. Sorry? What do you mean, Lord Strongheart? Magnus McGilded passed away immediately following the trial. No! What? Mr. McGilded is dead? I have 19 minutes and 41 seconds until my next engagement. Time enough to talk. Will he be receptive if I present him my badge? No, I don't think he cares. Yeah. Yeah, he says the same thing. No worries, no worries. Alright. Let us discuss... I don't understand. What happened? How can he be dead? After the trial concluded yesterday, there was a great commotion in the Old Bailey. As you'll presumably recall, an omnibus had been wheeled into the courtroom. Yes, of course. That was the scene of the crime which Mr. McGill had been accused of. Precisely. Well, while the bailiff's attention was diverted by some other matter, the omnibus went up in flames. No. How could such a thing have happened? That is being investigated as we speak, but already. The police have identified a corpse found inside the charred shell of the carriage as that of McGill. It's awful. The man must have stepped inside while the bailiff's attention was elsewhere. That bailiff really needs to pay more attention. And how could that have happened? That is also being investigated as we speak. Thinking back now, immediately after the trial, Mr. McGill did mention going back to the courtroom to look at the omnibus. Well, I must be making tracks now. No. It's time for the inspection. Sorry? What inspection? They're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. I asked if I could be present for it myself. I like doing the echo, don't mind me. An inspection of the omnibus? Not to my knowledge. I don't believe Scotland Yard had any intention of re-examining the carriage. But then who was Mr. McGill talking about? Never mind that now. The Yard is making a thorough investigation. This matter is no longer any concern of yours. Leave it to the police. Poor Mr. McGill. Interesting. I wonder how deep the corruption runs. So, how did you find your first taste of our country's Supreme Court? Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, it was... wow! Mr. Naruhodo means that the whole experience was steeped in the solemnity of Great Britain's long history. It's really a world apart from our own judicial system in Japan, which is only a few short decades old. Wow, Susato-san has such a way of words. And you seem to have a way of failing to find the right ones. The judicial system here is the most advanced in the world. Learn all you can. The most advanced in the world, is it? It was fortunate that your very first trial was a simple affair. Simple? That was simple? As I believe I mentioned yesterday morning, it was a trial you couldn't lose. I don't mean to be contrary, Lord Strongheart, but the case was anything but simple. The circumstances of the case were so incriminating, I was stunned when I first heard them. In fact, I'm still finding it hard to believe that we managed to get a favorable verdict. Is something funny? No. My apologies. However, the fact is that you did receive the not guilty verdict you set out to achieve. And that can only be attributed to exceptional talent. Wouldn't you agree? Well, I don't know about that. Well, never mind. You exceeded my expectations, I freely admit. That much at least is an undeniable truth. Which is precisely why I prepared the new case for you that I mentioned before. What's going on? What was he going to say before? Starting to seem like this guy's a little sus, right? He's giving me who am I thinking of? What's his name? Chat, what was the name of the chief of police again? The guy who was like, hey, Raito! Swimming, Aji, swimming! That, you know who I'm talking about, right? That guy, yeah, I forgot his name. He's giving me that vibes, is what I'm saying. Yeah, 1-5. Demon Gaunt? Demon Gaunt, yeah, that was it. Demon Gaunt, yeah. He's giving me the same vibes. A little bit. We'll see how it goes. Could you perhaps give us more details about the new case you mentioned? Don't tell me, it's a murder, and the trial starts in 10 minutes. Don't worry, it's nothing so alarming or quite so urgent as your last assignment. In fact, this case is completely different. Oh, I see. Did he just read my mind? That is to say, no one has died, as yet. And the trial will not be today. There is plenty of time to research the case thoroughly. Finally! This is the first case we have with a proper investigation and then trial phase, right? 1-1, yeah. First case was a trial, second case was investigation only, third case was trial only. This is the first time we're getting to investigate and then go to trial. 23 hours, 43 minutes, and 19 seconds to be precise. So the trial's tomorrow then. Yeah, I get you. The Dash 4s usually are like that, right? Sometimes. Is everything alright? Well, Dash 3, Dash 4. Oh, yes, I'm just a little confused, that's all. Yesterday's trial was... well, it's left me wondering if I'm really cut out for being a lawyer. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo. I don't know if I could face standing in that courtroom again after Mr. McGilded's trial. Ah, yes, I nearly forgot. There is one similarity with yesterday's case. Once again, there is currently no one to advocate for the defense. Oh! If the situation remains unchanged, the trial will start tomorrow with the defendant unrepresented. And if that happens, I need not remind you of the inevitable outcome. The most terrible end awaits the defendant. Yes, that's right. Here we go again. Not murder though, huh? Interesting. The time is up. You will have to excuse me. Yeah, thinking back, Ace Attorney hasn't really had that many cases where you don't have, where, like, you know, you're not dealing with murder. Like, ostensibly, where the cases, the series is about crime law, you know, like, obviously, it's about crime law, but 99% of the time you're dealing with murder. Thinking about it, I think there's like only a couple cases where we're not dealing with it. There was 3-2 was grand larceny at first. Like it became murder afterwards, but it was grand larceny at first, right? Uh, yeah, that was literally it, right? No, every other case in the original trilogy is murder, and then 5-1 is technically terrorism, but then there was also a straightforward murder case afterwards. And then 6-5 did have a civil case temporarily, which also became about murder. So basically, we've never had a case where like there hasn't been just like murder or manslaughter, right? Yeah. So this is interesting. Like unless unless a murder actually turns up, they're saying here that this isn't a murder case. So that's gonna be. Although knowing Ace Attorney, they're probably gonna throw in a murder at some point. But we'll see. I would advise you to begin making preparations for tomorrow's trial. After all, the clock is ever ticking. There is now but 23 hours, 26 minutes, and 39 seconds to the court sits. This man is. His gimmick is time, huh? His office is in a clock. He's obsessed about time. Last time he mentioned the 23 hours, he said there was plenty of time. And one more thing, Mr. Naruhodo. There is something I should like to ask you. There is an insect in my room. Give me a sec. It just landed on my arm. Piss off. Oh, what's that? Yesterday, you remarked upon something. That you intend to see through the will of your late compatriot, Mr. Asogi. I would be interested to hear what exactly you mean by that. Inside 34 seconds. Oh, well, Kazuma always used to say, you see, that he wanted to learn how the greatest justice system in the world works so he could change ours in Japan. Now that he's gone, I like to work towards that myself. And there's another thing. Oh. Another thing. Continue. On the way here, on the steamship, he said something to me. There's something very important that I have to do. Something very important. And what exactly would that be? He never had a chance to tell me. I suppose he would have done if he ever made it to Great Britain. You're out of time. Well, thank you for an enlightening discussion. Mr. Naruhodo, what's this all about? Mr. Asogi never once mentioned anything of the sort to me. I urge you both to focus your attentions on the matter at hand. I've taken the liberty of summoning the police inspector in charge of the case. He'll be able to apprise you of the details. How long has he been there? So, I wish you the best of luck, and bid you farewell. Bit of a slave driver, isn't he? Well, I mean, to be fair, he's not like, as time obsessed as he is, he probably wouldn't be wasting time with us faffing around being tourists, right? So he's putting us to work real quick. Yeah. He hasn't done anything outright, like, off yet. It's just that he's acting a little shady, so I don't know exactly how evil or complicit he is in the general corruption of the justice system. But he is giving me Demon Guns vibes, so I don't know. We shall see. There's something very important that I have to do. Kazuma-sama, what did you mean? I wish I knew, but honestly, he never told me. Anyway, we had better talk to the detective, don't you think? Yes, you're right. I hope I'm just imagining it, but I wouldn't say he looks pleased to see us at all. Dude, I'm hungry for some fish and chips now. Those look delicious. Could we trouble you? What voice should we give him? Well, I mean, he's a British gentleman, right? What do you think? Ah! Uh, um... Lovely weather, isn't it? What's the weather got to do with anything? Ah! Listen to me, you young Japanese upstart. Some frippery about the weather does get every English gent eaten out of your hand, you know? Yeah, fish and chips are held in hand like a burrito for some reason. Well, that is how you would... Fish and chips in the newspaper, that is how you traditionally had it, yeah. But Susato-san told me it was foolproof. Hang on. I think I need to give him a sillier voice looking at these animations. Yeah, I definitely need to exaggerate it a bit more. I'm a busy man. A very busy man. There's a crime scene to investigate, but I'm here having to give the likes of you a talking to. Oh, I'm ever so sorry. Can you imagine what the other officers there will be saying, Haven't seen Gregson anywhere, have you? No, you're still busy with the bigwigs these days. Ah. Gregson, huh? Tobias Gregson? Called it, yeah. That's another Holmes character. And all because of some bumpkin who's here on a jaunt from a country I had never even heard of. Hear that ripping sound? That's my reputation at the yard going to tatters. There's no need to rip us apart as well. I don't believe I've been introduced. This is Mr. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, a defense lawyer. Eh? It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant, so... Eh? It's lovely weather we're having today, isn't it? It is unseasonably fine, I grant you. London winters don't see a lot of sunshine. Unbelievable. How did she pull that off? So, Lord Strongheart has asked me to fill you in on the case. The name's Tobias Gregson. Inspector Gregson to you. I'm from Scotland Yard. Gregson? Inspector Gregson? What's the matter with Susato-san? Does this detective's name mean something to her? Inspector, are you perhaps the Inspector Gregson? Nom. You're acting like you know this man, Miss Susato, but he's a London detective. Oh, I do know him. Very well, in fact. Very well? Yes, he features prominently in The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Oh, in that publication. What's it called again? Rand's magazine? That's right. Inspector Gregson and Mr. Sholmes enjoy a wonderful, friendly rivalry. Really? You rival the great Mr. Sholmes? That's incredible. Oh, well, I don't know about that. Mr. Sholmes isn't a professional like myself, of course, but he does come up with the goods from time to time. Mr. Sholmes is equally complimentary about you, Inspector, isn't he? You've earned his highest praise. Gregson is the pick of a bad lot of all the Scotland Yarders, those were his own words. That is true. As opposed to Inspector Lestrade. The dum-dum. Although Lestrade here is not a man, he's unless there is another Inspector Lestrade somewhere else. But so far the only Lestrade I've seen so far is a sweet urchin who's shooting us with colored smoke bombs. So a little different than the Holmes canon. This guy though, this guy is actually a little smart. That's his highest praise. Well, Mr. Sholmes isn't particularly known for giving compliments, you see. That he is not. And thanks to that magazine, my name's known all over London town now. That's great, isn't it? I have to admit that to start with, I was a little, well, flattered by all the attention. Everyone wanted to shake my hand, and my reputation at the yard went through the roof. Well, that's wonderful. No, it is not. There's nothing more sinister than a man on the street. People are always looking at me now. They're whispering rumors about me under their breath, I'm sure. Rumors? Are you quite sure? He's changed since he started appearing in those stories. The fame's gone to his head. Stuff like that. Gosh, do you really think people are saying such mean-spirited things about you? Like I said, they whisper, so I can't catch exactly what they're saying, but I know what folk are like. I'm sure that's what they're saying. As sure as eggs is eggs. I get the feeling this detective could be very hard work. Oh dear. Perhaps a sudden rise to fame does change people. So, about the case that the Lord Chief Justice mentioned before. Nothing to tell, really. As far as we're concerned at the yard, it couldn't be simpler. Oh dear. That probably means that as far as we're concerned as lawyers, it couldn't be more complicated. I wish you were wrong about that, but I have a nasty feeling you're right. The young woman was walking along the pavement on Briar Road when she was stabbed from behind. Fortunately, it wasn't fatal, but she's still laid up in hospital unconscious. That's despicable! What sort of coward would attack the poor woman from behind? Ah. So we're dealing with assault with a deadly weapon then. And an attempted murder. But effectively assault with a deadly weapon. Alright. That's definitely a unique charge for Ace Attorney. I suppose you would have finished whoever it was off with a Susato takedown, wouldn't you? That is neither here nor there, Mr. Naruhodo. Brace yourself, Ryunosuke. You've angered her now. Anyway, after something of a whirlwind investigation, the criminal was arrested. He barely had time for a cup of tea after the incident took place, to be honest. So there must have been something left at the scene that led you directly to the culprit. Or perhaps a reliable witness who recognized the person in question. Let me stop you right there. You're wasting your time on this one. Sorry? There's nothing you can do. There's no way to help the bloke now. Why ever not? Simple. The prosecutor that's been assigned to the trial tomorrow is Lord Barak Ben Zeeks. No! Sounds like you heard of him then. Oh yes, we are very familiar with Lord Ben Zeeks. Believed to be the harbinger of death itself. The Reaper of the Baby. We get to talk a bit about him, cool. Lord Barak Ben Zeeks, who we faced in court only yesterday. Mr. McYoda told us about him before the trial, didn't he? When Van Zeek stands with the prosecution, they call the accused his sacrificial lambs. Have at you! And in every single trial in which he's been the prosecutor, the accused has been damned. This Reaper of the Bailey nickname. I suppose he's earned that because every defendant he advocates against is found guilty, is that it? Well, that's what you would assume, right? Given the track record of people, of like prosecutors with perfect records and everything. I have a feeling that's not the case. Because they've been coy about it. They haven't brought up his spotless win record yet, which they like to do. I'm willing to bet it's not because he has a spotless record. It's because everyone he prosecutes ends up dead, one way or the other, right? Given what happened to McGilded. Yeah, and they try to make him look sus too. Here's my prediction. Here's my prediction, chat. Every person he prosecutes ends up dead, and it's not even his fault. He doesn't know why, but maybe he's superstitious about it too. But like for some reason, everyone he prosecutes just ends up dying, either because they're guilty and they're executed, or if they're found innocent, they die outside of court eventually afterwards, because Daredevil gets them. Har har har. Well, if that's the case, we should inform you, Inspector, that in yesterday's trial against Lord Ben Zeeks, Mr. Naruhodo secured a verdict of not guilty. And what of it? Oh, well, I think... That means that even against the Reaper of the Bailey, it's not impossible to save the defendant. No, you really don't have a clue, do you? What do you mean? What happened to that bloke in the end, eh? He's dead. Ah. Magnus Magyoda became a cropper in that omnibus when it went up in flames. So you can't rightly say you saved the defendant, can you? What? What are you saying? Look, if Van Zieks could get the dirt to stick on everyone, he'd be a miracle worker. Just straight up lampshading that trope, huh? I guess every prosecutor in the series is a miracle worker before they run into Phoenix Wright. But that's not how it goes. He doesn't work miracles, he works magic. Black magic. I'd have a good long think about that if I were you. Are we really supposed to believe that? Nom 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 nom. These fish and chips are delicious. Right, well, our field win as requested and I'm very nearly out of chips. So I'll be heading back to the crime scene now, just to carry out a few investigations there. It was Briar Road, you said, didn't you? Where the incident took place. That's correct, ma'am. And if you head over to the holding cells, you can meet the criminal himself. You've branded him a criminal already. He's as good as. Shaking like a leaf in the cell, he is. He'll give you a chuckle if nothing else. He's inmate 53. Speak to the jailer and he'll show you the way. Inmate 53. Thank you. Ta-ta. So there's no helping anyone against the Reaper of the Bailey, they say. Is something troubling you, Mr. Naruhodo? To tell the truth, when I recall the trial yesterday, I can't stop myself from shaking. The idea of facing the Reaper in court again is... Well, if you think it's too much for you, there's no shame in turning the case down. That takes courage too. But if the man they've arrested is innocent, you could well imagine he would be shaking like a leaf in his cell. And I, for one, wouldn't find the sight of that funny. So, if I'm honest, I'm still reeling from the shock of yesterday's events myself. And I'm really not sure if I'll be able to help this man, whoever he is. But I'd like to try. So I think I'm going to make some inquiries. Will you help? Did you really think you had to ask? After all, I am your judicial assistant. Thank you. So then, shall we? Yes. Let's go. Yeah, it's interesting, like the way the the Ace Attorney series isn't exactly an accurate depiction of court, but the purpose of defense advocacy is so that when the case is tried, all the facts and all the advocacy comes out cleanly. So when the guilty verdict is down for something that's actually guilty, then you don't have to appeal it, you don't have to say, you don't have to consider everything. It's basically the reason to give the best defense possible is because you want the defense to be fair. That's all it is. That's all it comes down to, So whether the defendant's guilty or innocent doesn't really matter. Defense isn't supposed to necessarily get people not guilty sentences. Go all out for it, but basically they have to put forth the best case. That's the idea. That's why advocating against your client is malpractice. You have to advocate for your client. You can't like throw them to the wolves and everything, but you also don't deny facts. That kind of thing. Also, in a lot of these cases where you have people who are very, very clearly guilty and everything, usually the case goes to the case goes to settlement. Settle? What's the word for it? Summary judgment? Whatever. They plead guilty early and then save everyone from the court. So if it's really that clear cut, we would never be going to court to begin with. But that wouldn't make for a very exciting game, obviously, So then that's the deceit. That's the deceit there. Alright, we have a choice of the crime scene or the prison. I guess we'll go to the prison first then. It probably doesn't matter. Probably doesn't matter what order we do it, but yeah, let's do this first. Wow, that's gloomy. So these are British prison cells. Oh, they're ghastly. It feels just like a dungeon. Yes, and having experienced it in Japan myself, I can assure you that our wooden cells feel a lot cozier than these cold stone walls. Oh, don't, Mr. Naruhodo. You're making it seem worse. Apparently, our client is in this cell here. But it's so dark at the back there, I can't make him out. I wonder what he's like. Inmate 53, your legal representative is here to see you. Stop idling at the back of the cell and show your face at once. Am I? Am I a cat as yet with no name? Yeah, so I know who the client is, and I know that this is a reference. Waga hai neko de aru. Calling me by a number. It's utterly, unbelievably, unjustly unreasonable. I refuse to answer. Mr. Naruhodo, what? What do you think is going on here? I have no idea. But I wasn't just hearing things, was I? The tirade of complaints was in Japanese. Oh. Waga hai wa neko de aru. Should I be giving him a Japanese accent? But then again, I haven't been doing any Japanese characters with Japanese accents. I've been just doing, well, consistency's sake then. No Japanese accent. I don't think I could do it properly anyway. Plus it would feel a little uncomfortable, I'll be honest. I'll stick with British. We are in Britain after all. Excuse me, are you... Shh! Quiet. They're all around, hiding. I know they are. They're watching, listening, even now. I can sense it. Right. So, could I ask you, who exactly... There you are! You've come to curse me, haven't you? Don't try to hide it. You're a ghost. A ghost? Actually, yeah, I should probably start with a voice with him. He looks very nervous. I should make him sound more nervous. Yeah, probably. He's going to be a major character, so I should probably figure out a voice for our poor Japanese author here. You mean you no harm, prisoner-san? Are you... Ah, you know, actually, there's an interesting thing they've been doing with the localization. Whenever they're meant to be speaking English, Susato and Naruhodo use Mr. and Mrs. But when they're implied to be speaking Japanese, they swap over to Japanese honorifics. So that's actually one way you can tell. Because, you know, obviously the game's text is always in English. But that's an interesting trick they did with the localization. And I wanted to point that out, because that's a clever way to handle it. So implicitly here, now they are conversing in Japanese. Are you Japanese by any chance? This is beyond my wildest dreams! Well, we can say he's been in Britain for a while, so he's got a British accent, I guess. Forgive me for that outburst before. I'm so sorry. Oh, it's fine. We were just a little surprised, that's all. Imagine it! It's been 12 long months since I left my hometown, and here I am, in a frightful fix in a foreign land! So hearing the sweet, sentimental tones of a compatriot's voice here in this damn dark hellhole was a most momentary, moving moment! Who could have guessed that this new client Lord Strong had assigned to us would turn out to be a fellow Japanese? What compassion my fellow countrymen show. To dispatch a first-class lawyer all the way from Japan to defend a mere foreign student. Noble, nurturing, never-failing Nippon. A first-class lawyer? Oh dear, I think there's been something of a misunderstanding here. I wonder, would you be so kind as to tell us what's happened? Why you've been detained as a suspect, for example? Yes, I can. I will. Shut, stay sullen and silent. Is he, like, forming... Is he forming Kana or something? Vaguely. I'm not sure I quite understand what he means, but he seems happy. Yes, he does. I just hope he actually has a good reason to be. Thank you for your cooperation. I am a lawyer, as you said. My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. And I am Naruhodo-san's judicial assistant, Susato Mikotoba. I am a visiting student sent here by our government. Notably, notoriously named Natsume. Soseki Natsume. He is a real-life historical figure. He was also very miserable while he was in Britain. He wrote a lot about his hometown. And he also wrote, Waga hai wa neko de aru. That is the extent of my knowledge on Soseki Natsume. I will not be able to pick up any other references, unfortunately. Unlike the Sherlock Holmes, so I apologize in advance. But I can at least identify Waga hai wa neko de aru, and I am definitely not going to grind that joke into the ground. His face is on the 1,000 yen bill. I learned something today. Waga hai wa neko de... I wonder, wait, am I even saying it right? Hang on. Okay, good, I am. I did get the title right. It would have been kind of embarrassing if I wasn't even saying the name of that one book that I know properly. Yeah. Waga hai wa neko... Soseki Natsume-san? What an unusual name. I am a cat whose child required reading. Yeah. It's referenced in a bunch of Japanese media as well. It's the reason why every cat in anime goes by Waga hai. That is literally the only reason I know about it. Call me Soseki, please. I'm a poet, you see. A writer of haiku. That's something of a nom de plume. A nom de plume? You mean an alias? That's right, Naruhodo-san. No! Don't be so prosaic. It's much more refined than that. And haiku? That really reminds me of home. Did I hear you say that you were a visiting student sent over here by the government? Yes, that's right. A year ago I was told to go and study English. First I had to suffer that misery, and now this! It's beyond the pale! Suffer that misery? Did you not want to study here? No! I mean... I've had an interest in Great Britain for some years, of course. Oh. But... just because the government tells you to do something doesn't mean you can do it? No! What do you mean? If they told me to study English literature, that I could have understood. That's my field. But no, they told me to study the English language. Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly unreasonable. I see. Only the other day, I was told to send a report about my first year here. I tendered a blank piece of paper. Wise words on white washi. He must be a man of great standing. Oh yes. So I'm often told. And often like to be told, so it seems. I like him. He's got energy. I hope I'm doing his character justice. I am exaggerating the voice tones now that I have a better understanding of how this game is portraying him. It's also a little tough on my voice though. I might have to pace myself today. Could you perhaps tell us exactly why you've been arrested, Soseki-san? I didn't do it! I didn't commit an atrocious murder! Murder? Oh, no, it's alright. The woman didn't actually die, did she? But she was stabbed with a knife right before my eyes! Before your eyes? You mean you saw the attacker? I didn't see anyone. What? If I'd seen the person who did it, do you think I'd be locked up in here? Oh dear, it seems this case is becoming rather complicated. Why me? Why me? Why did that silly woman have to be stabbed in front of me? It's the curse of London. It's incredibly, inexcusably, irritatingly inconvenient. So Soseki-san was there at the scene, but he didn't see the attacker. It's vital that we find out more about the case. Man, I'm gonna get weird questions from outside from all the yelling I'm doing. It was an accursed evening, just after the snow had started to clear and heavy with fog. I've been to the bookshop to buy some books, and I was on my way back to my accursed lodgings. Oh god, I hate London, I hate Britain, I hate the English language. Oh god, why am I even here? Sure the bookshop wasn't accursed too? As I was walking along that accursed pavement, I could make out the slow silhouette of another ahead of me. A woman, wearing a green overcoat she was, and just as I went to overtake her, she suddenly let out a little scream and collapsed into the cold, hard slabs of stone at my feet. How terrible. I called out to the woman, but she didn't move. It was like a ghostly, ghoulish, grim graveyard. Slight exaggeration there, perhaps. I was terrified. I had to get away from there. So I ran as fast as my legs could carry me back to my accursed lodgings. That's not good. They'll say it was shameful, I know. To run away like that. Tell me, Soseki-san, was the victim an acquaintance of yours? Don't be ridiculous. Do you think I know of any of these fair-haired English? And a young woman at that? I'm different, shy, timid, unsure. I can't talk to people. I see. A young woman unknown to Soseki-san, whose voice is getting higher and higher as he goes along. And at the time it happened, who else did you see nearby? Did anybody pass you? Regrettably, apart from myself and the woman, I didn't see a soul. No one! Oh, great. So the victim was unknown to you and there was nobody else on the street at the time. That creates something of a conundrum, doesn't it? What conundrum? I'm giving him the Ron Delight voice. Well, you're not wrong. It's going. We're creeping up there. We're slowly sliding towards Ron Delight. Outrageous! Oh. I am gonna get some weird questions tonight. I tell you what. What do you mean, Susato-san? What's the conundrum? Well, if what Soseki-san has just told us is true, there's something I can't explain. He says he didn't know the victim, and that there was no one else at the scene. Then he apparently fled without having been seen. I did! But if that's the case, surely this man has to be the culprit. Ah! You! What did you just say? Nothing. I didn't say anything. Oops. Perhaps I thought that a little loudly. Actually, that's not what was troubling me. What I was thinking was, how did Soseki-san actually come to be arrested? Sorry? He didn't touch the victim, and there was nobody at the scene to see him. So how did the police ever discover that he was there in the first place? Oh, yes, she's right. It was him. That accursed great detective. He led the police to me. Of all the bad luck. Accursed great detective. Could it be? I shan't never forget that man's name as long as I live. With his haughty laugh and his self-proclaimed greatness. Brash, big-headed, busybody, be gone. May you be cursed unto the end of your days, Herlock Sholmes! Oh, did somebody mention my name? oh, dearie me, do forgive me. I find myself laughing at the most benign things. I am not German. Do not mistake it. I knew it. Mr. Sholmes. Well, I didn't expect to hear that name from this man's lips, that's for sure. It was the morning after that nightmare had unfolded on the pavement before me. I was gnawing on a silver of hard cheese, when some men suddenly burst in through the door. They started shouting at me. This is the police, put the weapon down. Yes, it was a thin silver, and yes, it was hard, but I wasn't eating a weapon. Disgusting dietary discrimination devils! My voice is getting higher with every exclamation. Ah! You clearly had a trying morning yesterday. And there he was, in the middle of all the policemen, grinning like a Cheshire cat. That Herlock Sholmes! It's actually just Herlock Sholmes. He's English. I've since found out that he's a famous name in detection here in London. Yes, the great detective is very well known. And his overly sharp mind managed to deduce my whereabouts, apparently. He thinks I'm the knife-wielding madman! Me! This weak, stooped kitten of a man! I wonder what great deduction process led him to his conclusion this time. Do you mean to say that Mr. Sholmes' deduction was the only reason the police arrested you? That would be really most unreasonable. Well, the thing is, I was thrown into a panic when he barged their way in. Of course you were. That's only natural. I was terrified and trembling, and they kept throwing question after question at me in impossible English. Fiendish, foreign, film flannery! Well, we are in England. You can't really blame them for questioning you in English. Good point, good point. But my mind went blank. I knew I had to answer, but I didn't know what to say. So I just kept repeating things like, yes, I do, and I'm fine. The next thing I knew, I was in manacles. And before I knew it, I was thrown in here. Oh dear, I'm afraid that's hardly surprising. I'm fine? He's not fine now. Not at all. Somewhere in the distance, Apollo Justice is crying. Mr. Naruhodo Esquire! Oh, you can just call me Naruhodo. And when we're speaking English, a simple mister is more than enough. Oh, yes, alright. Yes, they've really got to me. This country is poisoning my mind. But please, I beg you to defend me in court tomorrow. You can tell them what really happened. You'll do it, won't you? Well, Why? Why? Why is it so hard to say yes to me? Well, the thing is, I'm just a student like yourself, on a study tour. A student. I have defended a case in the Old Bailey. Only the one, though. But at this moment in time, I really don't know what I'm supposed to believe in. I'm confused about what justice in this country even means. Oh, Naruhodo-san. Not even the foreign student who was supposed to be here. A sort of locum lawyer, I suppose. What's an armband? That's the mark of defense lawyer from a great empire! It's a keepsake from the man who should be here. He was my best friend. A keepsake? I know exactly what you're saying about me. Oh, who do you mean? The lawyers. All the British defense lawyers. They won't defend me. Goodness, why? Why do you say that? For the same reason as you noted before. When it happened, there was only the victim and myself around, and I ran away from the scene of the crime. I'm not a fool. I know it looks as though I must be the culprit. It must be very hard for you, Soseki-san. And anyway, I'm a student from overseas. I'm just a foreign nobody to them, someone not to be trusted. You're all racist. Racist, I tell you! I heard them openly laughing about me before, in my earshot. Without any compunction at all. Any trial for this man would be a waste of time, they said. And, of course, the foreigner did it. They even had the gall to say, the man doesn't understand half of what's being said anyway. That's awful. You're wrong. I've studied more English than half of the policemen out there on the streets. I've traveled halfway around the world to learn about these people's country and its great history. But No one here wants to listen to a man with a strange accent. They all hate me. So, at the very least, I like to entrust my fate to someone who can listen to me in my native tongue. You could do it, couldn't you? When I look into your eyes, I can see it. I can see what you've been through. So Seki-san, it's just that... Give me a little time, please. I'll do what I can, for the time being. What do you mean? We shall investigate the case as thoroughly as possible. If we can find some clues, it will give us a much better chance, I'm sure. Oh yes, yes, thank you. I'll be here, all alone, waiting for you. Locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. You should be going then, Naruhodo-san. We have a case to prepare for. Oh boy, alright. He's a handful, isn't he? Please take a look at my badge. Yes, yes, the symbol of one of our great empire's first-rate lawyers. Which means, of course, you'll stand by my side. You'll defend me. Oh, no, sorry, that wasn't why I was showing it to you. Then why else would you show me that? Oops. In hindsight, that probably wasn't the best idea. Fair. Alright. That was fun. My voice is a little shot though, so... I have a feeling once we go to the crime scene, we're gonna be running into a certain world-famous detective. And we're gonna have to do a whole bunch more narration, so if you guys don't mind, I'm gonna call it at that for now. And I guess we'll do the rest of the investigation in the next session. There should be enough time, right? I figured there should be enough time. I hope you guys are satisfied. But yeah, with this game I have to pace myself a little bit. I hope you understand. Alright, thank you for watching. I will catch you guys around soon. Peace.